When the war began in February, the stated objective was regime change, but months of bombing raids and thousands of casualties later, the Iranian leadership remains entrenched. The global economy has buckled, and critical shipping lanes remain closed. Then, a sudden pivot. During a diplomatic dinner in France, President Trump digitally signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Tehran, bypassing the formal ceremony originally planned for Switzerland. Instead of a multi-volume treaty, the document pausing the conflict is only a page and a half long. It contains exactly 14 points. These commitments operate on a strict 60-day timeline. It is a temporary bridge, not a permanent settlement, designed to keep the peace for exactly 2 months. This raises a vital question. What specific financial and strategic concessions did the United States trade away for those 60 days? And what happens when the clock runs out? This map shows the Strait of Hormuz. Because it's so narrow, ships pass through Iranian or Omani waters, making it a critical maritime choke point. Under the agreement, Iran guarantees ending its blockade, allowing commercial vessels to pass toll-free for 60 days. The impact is designed to be felt immediately at gas stations like this one. Reopening the strait allows petroleum exports to reach the global market, stabilizing shipping costs and driving down the price of fuel for consumers. Securing the strait gives the administration a significant economic win as domestic midterm elections approach. To get the strait open, the U.S. agreed to waive sanctions immediately. This allows Iran to export crude oil freely for the agreement's duration. The U.S. also agreed to unfreeze Iranian assets held in foreign banks, a pool of capital estimated at roughly $100 billion. This chart breaks down a proposed $300 billion fund for Iranian reconstruction, with zero U.S. contribution. The administration expects regional partners, specifically the Gulf states, to voluntarily provide the funds. However, these nations were recently targets of Iranian attacks, with no mechanism compelling payment. The deal provides Iran with an immediate cash influx from oil sales, while its reconstruction depends on a fund with no confirmed donors. On the nuclear front, Iran pledged not to procure weapons and agreed to downblend its existing stockpiles of enriched uranium on site in Tehran. This chart compares the new memorandum to the 2015 nuclear deal. The previous deal set strict 3.6% enrichment caps and required UN inspections. The new agreement uses vague language for downblending and completely omits ballistic missiles, allowing Iran to maintain its arsenal untouched. The U.S. has traded a verifiable system of containment for a loosely worded promise, leaving Iran's military infrastructure fully operational and entirely untouched. Point 1 of the memorandum demands the permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, crucially including the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Lebanon. This clause directly affects the conflict in Lebanon, where Israeli strikes have killed 4,000 people and displaced over 1 million since March. Prime Minister Netanyahu has already informed the White House that Israel does not consider itself beholden to this clause. The text creates a direct contradiction with previous U.S. policy. While the White House verbally assured Israel it could maintain security zones, the signed memorandum requires a total cessation of military activity. By negotiating terms for Lebanon without Israel at the table, the U.S. has effectively bypassed its closest regional ally to secure the ceasefire. In signing this memorandum, Washington has abandoned its initial goals of regime change and military containment. The priority has shifted to securing a pause in fighting and immediate economic relief. Iran has learned that it can hold the global economy hostage through shipping lanes to secure the lifting of sanctions and the unfreezing of its national assets. This timer represents the 60-day window. When this clock runs out, the underlying disputes that started the war will remain. On day 61, Iran will regain the legal right to implement shipping tolls in the Strait, and the two nations will face the deadline for a final, permanent nuclear settlement. The memorandum has not solved the conflict. It has purchased 2 months of quiet. Iran will emerge from this period with billions in new capital, while its nuclear and missile programs remain intact.